We are 3 days away from the NFL draft, and on today's episode of the Regression to the Mean podcast, we have a full round one NFL mock draft. This is a ton of fun because today's a special episode because the man, the myth, the legend, the mustache one is back in the fold. Keegan Thompson. Keegan, it's been a while. Aidan, it's been a while too. The three are back together, so it feels good. But Keegan, dude, how you been?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I put my face in front of the screen here. Feeling a little rusty in the podcast studio, but we're back. We're gonna get through 32 picks here. No silly business here. We're just gonna try and mock the first round of the NFL draft. Get our minds together, melded. The three of us all each have some interesting pieces that our teams can add pretty early in the draft. So Shaun, welcome to the front half of the NFL draft. It's been a while since you've had to care. Aidan, we've been here before. We know what this is like. But yeah, no, good to be back for sure.
Very excited to see the Jets take it 7, Keegan. Aidan, I know you're going to be taking Jeanty if he's there at 10, but I don't know if he'll get there for the Bears. But let's show off the Thunder hat. Let's show off the Thunder hat. Let's see it. Best team ever? Is that what you guys are gunning for at this point?
Man, yeah, we're underdogs. It's us against the world. What a game this morning. I know this is a football pod, but man, what a game. That was just an absolute skull. So was really excited. Excited to see how the rest of the series unfolds. But yeah, no, what an absolute dominant win. So excited to talk draft. Like Keegan said, we are pretty routinely here in the top half of the draft. But this year feels a little different. So I'm excited to talk Bears, excited to talk. The first half is really exciting. There's some guys later on, too, that are going to be like big impact players. But this year is really interesting. It's like there's a couple stars, and then like it's kind of flat this year, which is going to make it kind of funky as I think teams are going to kind of be reaching. And like it's going to get wonky. But I'm really excited, Shaun. How are you doing here, bringing up the rear?
I'm good. I've been fighting to get this episode in place, and it's been a little daunting because, as you guys know, our loyal listeners, the Mean Team, we're fantasy guys. I have a good read on offensive players in this draft. I'm not out here grinding O-lineman tape, but I'm gonna make my best guess here on O-lineman defensive players. And luckily, I'm gonna stand on the shoulder of giants and other people's mock drafts. So I feel good. I think this is gonna be a ton of fun. Again, this is gonna be a perfect mock draft. We're gonna get every single pick right. Not financial advice.
All 32.
All 32, baby.
All right, so the format for today's episode is simple. Aidan's going to have the first pick. Keegan's going to have the second pick. I'm going to have the third pick, and we're just going to do that for the entire draft. It's not going to be a snake. We'll each get a pick every 3 picks. I think some guys we're going to spend a little bit more time on. Some guys I think we're going to breeze through, but this is going to be a good time. I'm going to pull up the screen share. We're going to run this all through the PFF mock draft simulator. Shout out PFF. I gave Keegan the first pick, or did I give Aidan the first pick? I already forgot.
Aidan's 1. I'm 2.
No matter. You said me, but I'm cool with it either way.
Aidan, you're 1. Who you taking at 1 here?
If we want, we could do Keegan 1, so he naturally gets the Jets. Actually.
All right, yeah. Let's have some natural Jets action. All right, Keegan, you're 1. Aidan, you're 2. I'm bringing up the rear here. Who you taking first overall? Tennessee Titans.
Anybody who's willing to get on a Twitch live stream and talk about how good Treylon Burks is probably locked into the Titans locker room. So let's go ahead and just slide Cam Ward, pick number 1. I don't think we have to spend too much time on Cam Ward. I think the thing is Tennessee needs a quarterback. I think Cam Ward's much better than Shedeur or Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe. Like, it feels pretty easy here. You've got the number 1 pick. Like, go ahead and get yourself a quarterback. I also don't think Tennessee has, like, they do have holes in their roster, but like for somebody who has a number 1 pick, I think they're in a good spot to like take a quarterback and not feel bad about the next 2 players that we're likely going to talk about and missing out on them. So we'll just slide them in right there.
Yeah, that's kind of been like the worst kept secret in the NFL the last couple of weeks.
You got to respect his love for Treylon Burks and Chigakonkwu. Like maybe I'm a Cam Ward guy. Like I think he might be seeing.
Did he give Chig love too?
Yeah,
he got Chiggy with it.
He gave everybody.
He
love.
said something about he said something about Pollard too. Yeah, he's just like glazing the entire offense. So like that's happening. Like that's for sure happening.
I have no idea if he's going to be good, but I just like Cam Ward. So I'm starting to get caught up with his charisma. He's just got the swag, no doubt. So he's worthy of the first pick.
He's a prospect, but like he's got some elite traits, which is exciting.
For better or worse, too, he's got a lot of ball experience. Like he's played a lot of time in college football. So
what do you do? Five
most
years?
touchdowns.
5 years.
He most touchdowns ever. He has the most touchdowns ever in D1, I think. So yeah, Cam Ward off the board with the first pick. Now Aidan, the second pick in the draft, the Cleveland Browns. Who are they taking it to here?
Yeah, so this one I think has also become a lot clearer over the last, call it, week or two. Travis Hunter is going to go 2 here. And it's becoming more and more likely that he is going to be a primary wide receiver too, which is music to our ears as fantasy guys, especially if you guys are playing Dino too. Like his stock in Dino has been anywhere from like late round 1 to as high as 102. And I think if he does go to Cleveland and plays wide receiver primarily, he should be the 102. So, one of the most polarizing players in terms of like people's opinions on this guy. Like him or hate him, like just a phenomenal athlete, like the twitch at wide receiver, the ball skills at corner. Definitely a special player. Like I'm curious how it's going to work out with the timeshare between 2 positions. It's like you cannot do both. Like you cannot play the same amount of snaps he did in college. So we'll see. I'd love for him to commit to one position. I know he's going to do both to some degree, but we'll see how that shakes out. What do you guys think about Travis Hunter? Do you think that's the pick there, or how are we feeling about the second pick?
I think he's the best player in the draft. So I think it's a slam dunk. Second overall. I think Andrew Berry, the GM, has said he's going to play wide receiver. So it sounds like he's going to play wide receiver and then maybe play like cornerback on third down. I don't know.
Yeah.
Keegan, do you have a read on that, on how much he's going to play on defense?
I don't know about he's filling 2 needs here for the Browns. Filling the wide receiver need, filling the quarterback.
Pretty sweet.
I think it's just
the
thing for Travis Hunter is just like he's going to pick one and focus on it, and he's going to be deployed in special packages, like and vice versa. And I think everybody in the fantasy community wants him to do it at wide receiver first, which is great. And I love that the Cleveland brass said that he would go wide receiver. So I don't know much about DB packages. That feels almost insane to me that you can just drop somebody in some type of coverage package and go out there. But I think if anybody can do it, it's probably Travis Hunter.
It's nice that they have Denzel Ward too, so he wouldn't have to be like a shutdown ace cornerback in those situations. And they also have like JOK. Like they've got guys in the secondary. They've got a good defense, so it makes sense why they'd want to go receiver first and then play him at cornerback. But I agree, Keegan. How do you moonlight at cornerback? That's definitely something we've never seen before.
I think you can moonlight at wide receiver, but how do you moonlight at cornerback? Well, I think he can do it.
They've got decent wideouts too, to your point around like the Denzel Ward point. Like they don't have a great wide receiver room, but it's like there's still some dudes. Judy just came off a good year. Like you've got some like there's guys in that room to where this is the best landing spot for him. I think Patriots would have been fun too, but given the news that's come out, like there's just no way he gets there anymore.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good spot, all things considered, especially because Barry's coming out. And again, we are fantasy guys. You may be watching this because you're just interested in the NFL, but from a fantasy perspective, Keegan nailed it. We're rooting pretty hard for him to be a wide receiver, and he could be a really special player at wide receiver. Third pick here, kind of feels like this one's becoming more of a lock by each day. There was some talk that maybe John Merrow would get involved and Shador could potentially go at 3 to the Giants. But I think at the end of the day, you don't want to overthink this one, and you want to take best player available. I understand that the New York Giants have 2 capable pass rushers, and they've got a defensive line, but we just saw the Eagles dominate in the Super Bowl because of the strength of their defensive line. And I just feel like Abdul Carter here, this is the second best player in the draft, in my opinion, and I think he's very worthy here, the third pick. I think this is what the Giants end up doing, and I think it actually is a really smart pick here. So I'm going to take Abdul Carter here, 3rd overall. With the Giants, I think we're pretty much in lockstep, right? Like this kind of feels like what they're going to do.
Yeah, the top 3 feels like it's really solidified over the last week or so with the Travis Hunter news. I could also see someone, like, we're not going to do any trades here. I could see someone potentially move up for Carter. Because it feels like once you get past these 3, it's like there's still some other blue chippers, but like these feel like the 3 hot commodities of this draft. So I wouldn't be totally shocked if the Giants try to slide down, even if it's just a couple of picks, if someone's really high on Carter.
I legitimately have no idea what's going to happen now. Keegan, like we now have the Patriots on the clock here with the 4th pick in the draft. and from what people have been reporting, is someone that could go 4th overall, could go 20th overall. Like, it's that flat and it's that different from team needs and team boards. So I think the draft officially starts here, Keegan, or Keekster, as your name is here in the chat. Who are you taking here? 4th overall.
I'd honestly
the,
say
Patriots?
It's still pretty chalk. Like I think the pick here, like the first 4 picks are going to be, of course, Cam Ward at 1, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. I think that's pretty lockstep. But I also think 4, the pick here is Will Campbell for the Patriots.
I think so too.
At left tackle, like despite the arm length thing, I think he's still everybody's number 1 offensive lineman in all across the board. Like, doesn't matter what analyst you look at or what you read. Like, he's OT1 for basically everyone. And I think the thing with Will Campbell here is, like, if he gets beat at left tackle, like, he can slide into guard. And unfortunately, fortunately for me as a anti-Patriots fan, they have holes all across the line on that left side. So, like, even if he has to slide inside because the arm length isn't there, it's not really a big deal. Like, I think he's the chalk pick here, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do. And I still think Will Campbell's pretty good. He played a lot of tough competition in college, like at LSU, and I think there's some not great reps on tape from him, but he's going against studs nonstop. But I think 5 here is actually where it starts, because everything I've read, everybody who's talked about it online, like, it seems it's Ward, Hunter, Carter, Campbell, first 4, and then it gets wonky from here. I think you can go any way, shape, or form. There's some people who like maybe think McMillan's a good fit for the Patriots, but I think they need to work on the line before they work on anything for Drake May.
Aidan, Keegan's setting it up for you. 5th pick here, Jacksonville Jaguars. Who you taking?
So I would actually go one more. I think this one will be pretty chalk too. All signs are pointing towards Mason Graham to Jacksonville. I don't think they take a wide receiver. It'd be pretty nuts to pair it with BTJ. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, that defense was pretty much bottom 5 in like every single metric last year. This guy absolutely, steps in right away, plugs that hole in the middle, in the interior D line. So I think 6 is crazy because no one knows what the Raiders are going to do. They're just like sending smoke signals left and right. I like the top 5 picks in this order. I feel like as we're getting closer to, most mocks are kind of telling you that as well. If the Jags don't go Graham, I think they could go wide receiver. But like, I don't think McMillan's good enough to be pick 5. Unless Hunter's not going to slide to 5. Like, I don't think you take that big of a swing when Mason Graham's a much safer pick. So, I'll one up Keegan. This is where I think the draft starts is at 6 because the Raiders have a ton of holes and a new resume too. They got a completely new resume, so it's like there's really no historical.
Did you say resume?
Guys are going to do aside. Yeah, new resume.
Regime.
I like resume better. But we'll see.
I won't talk about my group chat mishap earlier in the week, so we'll let resume slide. It happens.
Oh my god! All right, Shaun, what's your guy Pete Carroll doing here at 6?
Okay, so everyone is just mocking Ashton Jeanty here because Pete Carroll's a boomer and he loves running backs, and he took Rashad Penny in the first round all those years ago, and Zach Charbonnet in the second round, and Kenneth Walker in the high second round. So he loves him some running backs. But I feel like this Chip Kelly connection with the Ohio State guys and the fact that they've got an early pick in round 2 makes him a candidate to take one of the Ohio State guys here. And I feel like they're kind of a wild card. In my opinion, I think they're more of a wide receiver team here. And I think based off of some of the tea leaves I've read is there are some connections between Tet, McMillan, T-Mac, and their new staff. And I do think Tet actually makes sense here from a team need perspective. And I do think he's good enough to go 6th overall. I don't really understand the T-Mac FUD. I really don't. He put up 1,300 yards in back-to-back years with a bad quarterback. He's huge, he's super nimble. You can move him all around the formation. So I think Ted actually is a sleeper here to go 6th. And I'm going to take Ted McMillan off the board, 6 for the Raiders. I know you're not going to see that in a lot of drafts, and a lot of people are projecting him to fall. But I'm not buying it. I'm not buying this T-Mac slide. I think he's too talented.
Here's a nugget.
Is that too big of a hot take?
Here's a nugget about T-Mac
so.
that I found while doing some research for this episode. Pete Carroll's son was his offensive coordinator in 2023 at Arizona.
Really? That is a nice nugget, Keegan. I missed that one.
There's definitely some
I
connection
could
there.
see it though.
Yeah.
My guess there is Will out of Michigan. I think they go corner. I think they take the Michigan connection with Brady, their GM. But we'll see there.
I
I
have
think they go Will Johnson
in my
but
mind like
we'll see.
6, 7, 8, 9, probably not 10, but yeah, 6, 7, 8, 9 are all Tet teams. Could be Tet teams. Like I think this range is
Yeah,
right where
honestly,
he belongs.
yeah,
Like these are
for
all
sure.
Tet fits to me.
Yep,
So
yep.
If Matthew Golden goes ahead of Tet, I just don't. And I'm not even
No,
slamming Golden here. I am just blind. Like I don't know ball. If like I don't get why Golden would go ahead of Tet.
there's that'd be malpractice, absolute malpractice.
I don't know, man. So yeah, I think Tet's a sleeper here at 6. I think the Raiders are also a trade back candidate, and I do think that Jeanty is, and we're not doing trades. A team could totally trade up to take Ashton Jeanty, and I think Aiden's Browns could trade up 4 spots and take him. I
Bears.
know.
Aiden's
I mean,
Bears.
yeah, I'm sorry.
We're
Aiden's
also
Bears,
rusty here.
Browns.
I
Oh man,
was like my Browns. That gave me the.
That's
ick.
rough. Yeah, that's Aiden's Bears. Bear down. So yeah, that's my pick at 6. So we're moving on to pick number 7, the New York Jets, Keegan's Jets, Jets. Who are they taking at 7 here?
There's a lot of Tyler Warren smoke out there. I don't love that. Ideal world, this is an Armand Membou pick, and that's like kind of consensus for a lot of mock drafts. That's who I'm going to take here. There's really only one hole on the offensive line right now for the Jets that like can really be filled. Morgan Moses is gone. Right tackle's open. The rest of the line, Olu, Titman, and Bear Tucker played really well last year, and Simpson at right guard. Like the offensive line is ripe to be just completed with a pick like Armand Membou. Tet would be honestly somebody I'd be interested in at this pick, but I like the pick at 6 here. There's a lot of needs for the Jets, but I think shoring up the offensive line with like this run first approach we're going to take with Justin Fields is the pick here. I feel like it's pretty easy for them to click Membou, and if he's not there, Jets are definitely a trade down candidate for sure. I think what you're saying, Sean, like if the Raiders don't pick Jeanty here, and like let's say Membou's off the board, like I don't know that the Jets are super high on Will Campbell, like they could trade out of this, and that could be like the opening for someone to take Jeanty early. But yeah, I think it's Membou here.
That's the consensus. And by the way, this mock has been pretty chalk so far. 95% of people are mocking Cam Ward to the Titans, 80% Travis Hunter to the Browns, 73% geared to the Giants, Will Campbell 68%, Mason Graham 70%. We deviated a little bit with Tet here, and Armand Membou 55% to the Jets. So that seems to be consensus. I think it makes sense based off their fits. I mean, their needs. And what's nice about Membou, from what I've seen, is that he could play a left tackle. He also is naturally a right tackle as well. And man, he's a mauler. He's a big boy, and he's a dancing bear, man. He's light on his feet. So I think it's a great pick. We're gonna go to the 8th pick here, kicking it back over to Aidan. Carolina Panthers on the clock. Who's going off the board here?
Yep. I think their dream outcome is Ted falls here at 8. I don't think you'd rationalize another wide receiver here at 8. That feels too rich, like we mentioned. It's whether it be Golden, Ibuka, whoever your next wide receiver is off the board, it doesn't feel like the right pick here. So I do think they're going to go edge. And at that point, it's a couple of different guys here. You've got Mike Green, you've got Jalen Walker, you've got a couple of different guys here. I would lean Walker personally. I think Walker's probably the safest out of the edge rushers in this year's draft. You've got Shamar Stewart, who I continue to be like puzzled about during my evaluation. It's like he's such a freak, but it's like, how did you what were you doing on the field for 3 years? It's like there's just nothing in the stats for you. And then we know Mike Green had absolute like awesome years at Marshall, but smaller school isn't going to translate. So I think Jalen Walker is probably the pick there at 8 if Tet's off the board for the Carolina Panthers.
Everyone's mocking him there. If it's a need, and Walker's just a really impressive player. He was the 2024 Buck Kiss Award winner as the nation's top linebacker for the Georgia defense. So makes sense. Keegan,
Just like Yeah.
Do you like Walker? Do you know?
And
yeah,
profit,
seriously, rinse and repeat. Like, do you think the Panthers go defense or offense with this pick, Keegan?
I think they'd love to pick Tet if he was there, to be honest.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think
Tet's the dream.
I think that is like the
dream
dream scenario for Carolina. But I mean, like, they did some work to like get the interior defensive line repaired. I think they played pretty nice football at the end of the year, and Bryce Young looked pretty good. So I think you kind of attacking some like more specialty positions if you're Carolina, and think about getting after the quarterback so you can get the defense off the field a little bit quicker and get Bryce Young. So I'm cool with this pick. It is definitely very chalky. It's just like this draft is so flat with talent. I think once you get past Carter, it's just a mix of like who's a good fit for what team and like what does the team think about them, which I think sounds like a little too simple here, but it's just how this draft is.
I'm going to go anti-chalk for my second pick because I don't think that the Saints are going to take a wide receiver here. I think they need an offensive player. I don't think they need a running back. And I think they need someone who can really transform this offense. And I think it's going to be a tight end here at this pick. Tyler Warren could make a ton of sense for them, considering, Taysom Hill has played for this team forever. And I think Tyler Warren's basically a supercharged Taysom Hill, especially if you see how the way he was used at Penn State. But in my opinion, I think Colston Loveland is a better tight end prospect for what he brings to the position.
Whoa.
And I believe that both of these guys are going to be off the board in the first maybe 12, 13 picks. And I think Colston Loveland, it's one of my favorite bets for first tight end drafted. He's just ridiculous at his size with his route running chops, his hands, and his ability. And I'm going to take Colston Loveland here, pick 9 for the Saints.
Now we're cooking.
I think he pairs really well with Chris Olave, with Rashid Shaheed, bringing back those Jimmy Graham type days. He's not the one-to-one athlete that Graham was, but he's a big, tall, physical tight end, and he's young too. So I'm a big fan of Colston Loveland. I'm going to take him here at 9 for the Saints.
Saints are a sneaky QB team in this draft.
They are.
I think Derek Carr is holding them hostage. Like, I don't know that he leaked that. Like, his own team leaked that he needed surgery. I don't know. The fact that we haven't seen any trades or any type of movement ahead of this draft is like a little bit weird. I think this is like the shortest basically there's no trades like from now until the draft. And like up until now, there's been at least one pre-draft trade, like in drafts leading up to this. But Saints feel like a frisky team here at 9. I feel like I don't love a quarterback here at 9, but who knows? Saints could shock us. I feel like the Saints pick is a mystery box here.
Could totally be Jackson Dart. I think he makes more sense for them than Shedeur based off of Kellen Moore's preferences at quarterback, which, again, Keegan and I have been texting. We're not the biggest Dart fans. I'm not like hating on Jackson Dart by any means, but it would be a little high to take Dart at 9, in my opinion. And I think Loveland checks more boxes for what this offense needs at this current juncture. So
I know we said no trades here, but I'm going to trade my pick rights to Aidan.
Yes.
I'm calling Aidan up to announce the Bears pick.
I'm in. Called in. One more thing on Loveland. I think there's some like minor injury concerns, but I do like the pick there. Yeah. I think some teams are more concerned with the shoulder over the others. But him versus Warren is a fun debate. I'm not sure what the odds are, like you mentioned, for first tight end off the board. I'd assume it's Warren. I don't know how dramatic it is right now, but I think that's a good pick for them at 9. So Tad, I think there's 3 different ways that this is going to go. If Jeanty's there, they're taking Jeanty. That like pretty much it's a no-brainer at this point. I think Jeanty would be the pick, so we'll do that. But I want to walk through the other 2 quickly, just while I'm doing my soapbox here. I do think they could go tight end here, which I wouldn't agree with. I don't want a tight end here. Cole Kmet's pretty good. Cole Kmet's pretty good tight end. Is he elite? No, but Cole Kmet is an above average tight end. I think there's bigger holes, but it's also Ben Johnson's team now, and they're kind of letting him cook. Go get him another weapon. I think him and Cole, like Tyler Warren and Cole Kmet, would be pretty fun together. I'd prefer they didn't do it. And then like the full missionary pick that like is continuing to like show up on my radar is Kelvin Banks out of Texas.
Did you say full missionary?
Braxton Jones.
Pick?
Yeah, it's just boring, but it's a good pick. Braxton Jones is going to be on his last year of his rookie contract, recovering from a pretty bad ankle injury, just like totally snapped his leg at the end of last year. He's expected to be ready by the start of the season and camp, but a natural left tackle. We're already locked up at every other position. Banks would be an interesting pick there to reset that clock at left tackle. So it's going to be offense, or it could be edge, but I think it'll be offense. I think it'll be offense if the board shakes out the way that it does so far here.
Let's get Jeanty to the Bears or to the Broncos, please. Like that's all I want. That I'd say that those from a fantasy perspective is exactly what we'd like to see.
Yep. Yeah, we all win in that case.
All right, so I'm gonna pick here, because this would have been Aiden's pick. Well, Keegan, you're gonna get to pick twice here in a second.
Okay.
But I'm gonna pick here 11th overall for the San Francisco 49ers. If you've been in our group chat, well, how could you be? But it's just been the three of us. I've just been like, please do not take a cornerback or a safety. I want a trench player. I want someone who's nasty. But the more I read up about Jahdae Barron, it seems like he's a hell of a player. He's similar to these safeties, these mixed hybrid players, right? That you've got Cooper DeJean, Brian Branch. I'm not going to go with Jahdae Barron here. Because I don't think they're going to take a DB that high. Usually they take DBs in the 4th, 5th round, 2nd, 3rd. They usually don't take them in the 1st. Usually they go trench pick, and I think they have to go trench pick. They let so much talent out the door in the trenches on defense, and I'm scrolling all the way down here, and I can't find him, so I'm going to have to search his name. This is somebody that right now is not projected to go super high, but is somebody that I think fits exactly what the 49ers are looking to do. And that's somebody that can be disruptive as a defensive tackle, as an interior pass rusher. They've desperately missed this with Eric Armstead out last year. They had to cut him for tax. I mean, not tax. They had to cut. Yeah, I mean, they cut him for salary cap issues. They've drafted D tackles from Oregon several times. Derrick Harmon, his dad, Derrick Harmon Sr., played for the 49ers in the 80s. I think this is a bit of an unconventional pick here for the Niners. But I think Derrick Harmon is slept on. This guy is legit very good. He was excellent in Michigan State. He was amazing for the Ducks last year. We were number 1 team in the nation for most of the year. And I think they're going to go trenches, and I think they're going to take a defensive tackle. So I think the 49ers are going to take Derrick Harmon here at pick 11, and I feel pretty good about it. And they could be a trade back team. I don't know, but they already have like the most picks in the draft, so I don't think they will. Do you guys have any read on what the Niners are going to do?
Unconventional pick for the 49ers, Sean says, but since 2015, Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner, Solomon Thomas, Nick Bosa, and Javon Kinlaw, all since 2015 in the 1st round. But unconventional.
I think it's going to be a tackle. I think it's going to be a tackle, a defensive tackle. And I don't think it'll be an edge player. I think Mykel Williams is interesting. Don't sleep on Shamar Stewart. He is a freak. And, Robert Saleh loves freaks because he thinks he can teach him how to be pass rushers and pin their ears back and play in that system.
He can.
So I wouldn't
he for sure can.
I wouldn't, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if Stewart's a developmental pick, but the Niners have to nail this pick. And I think Derrick Harmon is a set it and forget it day 1 starter, an impact player out of the gates here. So, yeah, that's who I'm taking. Pick number 12 here. So this is a fun pick for the Keekster.
Am I double tapping the Cowboys and the Dolphins here?
You're going to DT this thing, man. So you got the 12th pick here, Dallas Cowboys. They always take BPA. They're like they always have good drafts because they just always take the best player. And considering that their team isn't very good, they have the ability to take best player available. So who are the Dallas Cowboys you're taking at 12?
Yeah. This is tricky. There's a player I'd love to slot in here, I think just for fantasy purposes, potentially at the running back position, but I think there's another team that's probably a really good fit for that back. The wide receiver room is pretty vapid after CeeDee Lamb.
It's rough.
They have a lot of, I think, needs here on the Cowboys. But what I'm going to do here is I think I'm leaning cornerback. And I think we're leaning Will Johnson out of Michigan to the Dallas Cowboys here at pick 12. And I think there's a lot of different ways the Cowboys can go. But I just think about Trayvon Diggs. He's pretty banged up. I don't even know if he's going to be healthy for next season. He's definitely not going to be there at the start of the season. There's just a lot of things that the Cowboys have to do. And I think they kind of have to commit here to like rebuilding a part of their team that has been historically very good, which is the defense. In the past couple of years, it's been really bad. And I think as long as you have Dak healthy, a CeeDee Lamb, a Jake Ferguson, the offensive line is good. Like you can steady the ship and piece some things together on offense, but like they really got to start working on the defense here. So we're going to go and get him a corner in Will Johnson.
That's a fun pick. I mean, he's somebody who's fallen a little bit.
Like that.
Going into the draft, going into this season, people had him as like a top 3, top 2 player on their board. And he had kind of an uninspiring junior season. Basically, everyone on Michigan did outside of Mason Graham. So that's a good call out.
Banged up too.
Yeah, he did. He was injured.
Yeah, even Will Johnson got injured, so it feels weird to like, injury talk about Diggs. But like, I think it's like Deron Bland is their only starter right now at the cornerback position. Like Dallas, just I feel like to me is a team that needs to like strategically attack the draft because they just have holes that are like not glaring, but they have enough of them where they have this large glaring hole. So it's not like a sexy pick for them, but I think I like them attacking a position that maybe most people think they're not going to attack. And then for the Dolphins, this is another team that's like, there's a lot of issues with the Dolphins. And I think their window with Tua, Tyreek, Waddle has like kind of closed. And I think it'd be a really good opportunity for them to like hit a reset button, not like a full blown reset, but light reset. I know Jalen Ramsey's not going to come back. Tyreek Hill's constantly in trade beef on Twitter, replying to people's like aggregated tweets about him being traded, throwing up peace signs. So it's kind of a mess there, but we're going to like steady the ship and we're going to go with Kelvin Banks Jr. here on the offensive line. And we're going to beef up the offensive line. He's going to compete, I think, right away for their like left tackle position that they have right now. So Teron Armstead, I almost said Eric Armstead, other Armstead, yes. Retiring. I just think there's big holes. Tua's injury concerns are huge. So like, let's just protect Tua, beef up their offensive line, like kind of reset the Dolphins a little bit here. I'm mad I didn't get to pick the Colts because this is like a highly controversial pick, and I would have loved to chat about this, but I'll have some thoughts depending on where we go.
Dude, Tyler Warren would be the most irresponsible pick they could make.
Most irresponsible. And I'm so tired
if he was a Dolphin. I know for the Colts too. The Colts do not need a tight end that Anthony Richardson Elmos throws on.
They have
Warren on the
issues.
Dolphins, dude. Warren on the Dolphins would be sick.
Would be fun.
McDaniel would know exactly how to use him and build out like half of his playbook around Warren. It'd be sick. But
Honest
they
Smith
need
is basically Tyler Warren.
Yeah, he's like
I think another.
He's like dollar store Tyler Ward for sure.
Another fun possibility for Miami too, I think, that is totally on the table given what Keegan said about Tyreek Hill is I think we could potentially see a Tyreek Hill draft day trade and then Miami go wide out, which I think would be a ton of fun. Jalen Waddle's still very young. Tua's very much under contract. Sure, like he has pudding for brains, but like he's still young. Going Luther Burden or like Emeka Egbuka here and putting that next to Jalen Waddle would be a ton of fun.
Golden would fit with Waddle too. Golden is just replacing Tyreek for the speed role. I think Golden could crush with the Dolphins.
Yeah. So this is a 14th fun one like Keegan mentioned.
14th pick with the Colts here for Aidan. Who you got?
I don't think they do tight end.
They better not.
What's really fun is like you look at what they need. Like pretty much everything is like either on the line or on their defense, and you're pretty much staring down like the top prospect at like a couple of these positions. So you got Malachi Starks there. He's the best safety in the draft. Staring at you right there. You got Jihaad Campbell as well, who I think they go one of those two personally. And what's funny is I think Atlanta and Colts are going to go like they're kind of going for the same players here. Like the needs and like the players are going for like I could almost see them going like back to back here in terms of these two guys. I think they could also go edge. They desperately need some juice there. So like Mike Green makes a ton of sense as well. I think I'm going to go Jihaad Campbell here for them. I think you need that solidifying linebacker pick. Just feels like that defense has been a mess for a couple of years now. So the best linebacker in this draft, Jihaad Campbell, who a lot of people like at 15 too. A lot of people like him at 15, but he's legit.
I'd want him at 11. I want him at 11 for the Niners, but the Niners, that's irresponsible.
So greedy.
But it'd be to replace Dre Greenlaw. Dude, Jihaad Campbell is one of my favorite players in this draft because he's a bat out of hell middle linebacker whose name is literally Jihaad. So it
It's
is
so
just
sick. It's
it
so
is
sick.
absurd what this guy can do on the field. I think Shamar Stewart, do not sleep up at pick 14 because Chris Ballard just loves to pick the biggest, fastest guys. Like every year, it's just big, tall, fast.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah, he loves the big, tall, fast guys. So I wouldn't be shocked here at all. Man, 15th pick, Atlanta Falcons. They desperately need edge rusher production. And I think this is a kind of a natural fit for Mykel Williams here. He gets to stay in Georgia. Yeah, stays in state. I think this just makes a ton of sense. Mykel Williams is around this range is pretty consensus here for him. The edge rusher out of Georgia. Wasn't super productive, but he had some good games on tape, especially in the college football playoff. And I think he could be a productive player in the NFL. So I'm taking Mykel Williams here for the Atlanta Falcons at 15. I kind of funny. I in my head I was like, maybe they go tight end. Who plays tight end for the Falcons again?
Yeah.
I was like, it's Kyle Pitt.
Say his name. Say his name.
Oh man, but yeah, they can't take another offensive player. Like they please Falcons.
No, they could.
Please draft a defensive player.
I don't see why wide receiver is a big need for them too. Just look like Mooney and Drake London's a pretty good 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I agree.
I would not like putting that as the top need. Feels silly, but maybe there's something I don't know.
All right, Keegan, you're on the clock. Arizona Cardinals, 16th pick in the draft. We're halfway through here.
This is honestly a really tricky pick to make. Thinking about like Gannon, and I think what they need, like they need some defense. I'm probably going to go corner here. Best one available, obviously Jahdae Barron. But they just have, I think, a couple of different options they could go. This could be a Shamar Stewart team for the Cardinals. Like you just get an athletic freak, but I think just no real starters at cornerback. Like they just don't have a lot of depth at the position, like especially young depth. So let's just give them Jahdae. I think Cardinals could go a couple different directions, but that's a hard pick to make. I'm shocked that we didn't go with Mike Green to Atlanta. I mean, the story of the Falcons draft, like for the past 10 years, has been they don't have anybody generating pressure. They don't have anybody generating team sacks or anything like that. Like you just give them an edge, and I feel like we mock an edge every year or some type of D lineman every year, and they just pick an offensive player 4 straight years.
Yeah.
But I feel like
he's fallen a little bit because of character concerns, I guess, and he's only had like real interest from the Bengals is what the tea leaves are saying right now. So that's why I went with Williams over Green, but Green was super productive.
What are his character concerns?
He had to leave. He had to transfer. I got it right here. He was suspended and later transferred to Marshall in 2023 after being accused of sexual assault at UVA.
Oh,
he wasn't charged and denied wrongdoing, but. That's
that's
not
a
red flag. Yeah,
it's not great.
Good player though, for sure. Good player.
Not great.
And of course, the Bengals are in. The Bengals do not worry about character concerns, baby. They are in.
They don't care. I think it's funny too. Like I think like 4 different times now we're like, this could be a Shamar Stewart team. And the Bengals could be a Shamar Stewart team too, but I'm not going to do it. But I am going to go edge. I think the Bengals have pretty much said, we're spending all of our money on offense. Trey Hendrickson, you're not getting paid ever. Like, deal with it. You're just held to your hostage. But I do think they need more edge. This defense is terrible. Like, this defense is outright terrible. But I do think putting another edge rusher next to Hendrickson, I don't know how long he's going to be there. But I like Mike Green here. I think you go like Mike Green or Shamar Stewart. He could be there too. Edge rusher in general. Like you can also go Kenneth Grant if you wanted to go like more of the interior, but I think they lean edge and kind of just go like best edge rusher on the board or on their board at least. So Mike Green there at 17.
Yeah, he's taking an official visit there. It seems like there's interest for the Bengals, so makes sense getting him off the board. So I'm going to stop the slide. And I don't think in the real draft Tyler Warren's going to fall to pick 18.
No. Keep him available because I'd like to put him on the Buccaneers next.
No,
they got Cotton.
No, they got Kate Otten, your guy. Look, I think that it'd be almost incomprehensible for the Seahawks to not walk away with an offensive lineman here. But at the same time, they bring in Clint Kubiak. They trade DK Metcalf. They want to run this like 2 tight end offense. And what better player than Tyler Warren to come in and spearhead that with Jackson Smith-Njigba and the ghost of Cooper Kupp. So I think Tyler Warren makes a ton of sense for them schematically and what they're trying to do with this Kubiak offense. And if you look at who their head coach is, Mike McDonald, he wants these like hybrid force multiplier type players. And I think Tyler Warren does that for them. I don't think he's that good of a blocker, but I think you can coach that up a bit. And I think you can do a lot of the Shanahan stuff with Tyler Warren. So I think he makes a ton of sense. I'm going to stop the slide here. In the real NFL draft, I think Tyler Warren, a team would trade up for someone like him, in my opinion. But yeah, I think Tyler Warren makes a ton of sense for the Seahawks here at 18. And I'm going to get him off the board. Next up, Tampa Bay Bucks here for the Keekster.
Yeah, I'm all out of picks at this point. No, I was really banking on Tyler Warren going to the Buccaneers. I think Cade Otton is like one of my favorite, like just one of those weird players that I obviously love, but for no apparent reason. Like he's super average. I think tight end would be a great get. And I think realistically, Tyler Warren might be the first pick of the tight ends. I like the Colston Loveland hype though. And like the Bucks feel to me like one of the two, whoever they end up with here. So we're going to have to kind of like dig into the bag here a little bit. Take a look at the edges for me, Shaun.
Yeah, I'll edge for you right here.
This could be your guy. This could be your Sean's edging for you. This could be Shamar.
It could be a Shamar team.
No, I know a lot about Todd Boyles, and I know he's not ready to take on a project like that. I feel like the Saleh like logic of people who are willing to like develop talents like that, or people like a Mike Tomlin, even though I don't see the Steelers as a Shamar team, like those are kind of coaches I think about. I'm probably going to go with, let's just give him James Pierce here.
Okay.
4'7".
James Pierce, edge.
4'7" guy.
Tennessee.
He's pretty twitchy, like good athlete. He's definitely got a little bit more production than Shamar Stewart here. God, I really wanted to put Tyler Warren on the Bucks, but it is what it is. We're rocking and rolling. The Bucks get an edge, and then we'll move on. Yep.
All right. Pick 20.
He already Broncos. Went there.
Yeah, so this is like another like worst kept secret. Because I think they try to move up for him, to be quite honest. They could try to move up for Jeanty too, but I'm excited for this pick in general because I think I think it's gonna be running back, and I think it is Hampton who's gonna be the pick. But I'd also love another wide receiver in that room. Boy, what I love like Luther Burden or Emeka Egbuka in that Sean Payton offense. I think it would be an absolute blast. But Omarian Hampton, if they don't go Hampton there, they're going to go running back early in round 2. Probably try to slide up for one of the Ohio State guys, Caleb Johnson. But Hampton would be a slam dunk fit there. Finally have like a legit guy in that offense for Sean Payton, who is, that's the focal point of the offense is the running back. So Omarian Hampton would be a pretty easy pick for them, I'd assume, if they're sitting there at 20 and he's available.
I think Omarian Hampton makes a ton of sense for them. I think Tyler Warren could have made a ton of sense for them at 20. I wouldn't sleep on Travion Henderson as well at 20 for the Broncos. They seem like a team that's ready to drop in what like NFL scouts, media wouldn't consider like a premium position. Their defense is loaded. Their offensive line's good. They got the quarterback on a rookie deal. I think receiver could play for them, but they just need some explosiveness. Like they got some of it out of Marvin Mims down the stretch last year, but who knows if that's just a flash in the pan. And I think they want to invest in their offense and someone that can really take them to the next level. And I think Omarian Hampton is that dude as a 3-down back. Keekster, do you think it's Hampton set in stone there, or do you think Travion could maybe swoop his way in?
I think it's Hampton right now.
Okay.
Also, I'd love to. Apparently, I'm just looking at James Pierce's profile. Like all this stuff sounds great, but also character concerns with another player here. So maybe he's not here on the big board for teams in the first round. Just something to consider as people are watching this. Seems like there's character concerns littered throughout this draft.
There's landmines. Hey, man, they're kids.
Oh, Daniel Jeremiah left him out of his mock draft completely. So
he did. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Who did he leave out?
James Pierce.
He did a visit with the Niners. He did a visit with the Niners, though. So that's just a good caveat.
He left him out.
We could switch Walter Nolan here if you wanted to at 19.
Yeah, or a Shamar Stewart. Either way. we're nitpicking here.
I think this has to be a quarterback. It has to be a quarterback for the Steelers. And I think there's two options here. I think it's Shedeur or I think it's Jalen Milroe for them. There's been a lot of positive buzz about Jalen Milroe, like a lot. Academic Heisman winner, deep ball, super athletic, amazing runner. The guy had like 40 fumbles in like 2 years. Like he has baby hands. I don't think he makes a ton of sense in that division. I do think the Steelers they are committed to developing quarterbacks, which would be good for him. And potentially maybe they bring in Aaron Rodgers, sit Jalen Milroe. I think Shedeur makes a ton of sense for the Steelers. And I think that's the pick at 21. I guess there's been some interest. Mike Tomlin and them have had a connection. Reading some of the tea leaves, I think a team probably trades up for Shedeur and takes him before the Steelers take him at 21, and Milroe probably falls to them. Maybe, I don't know, because there is some Milroe buzz there. But I like Shedeur here to the Steelers. I think it makes a ton of sense. I think it's a good fit. What do you guys think about Shedeur, 21 overall to the Steelers?
My hot take, and this is just a pure hater take, is Shedeur is there for the Giants in their, I think they have pick 33 or 34.
Oh, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked.
I think someone's going to take him at the end of round 1 because you want that 5th year.
I'd be shocked in the second round pick.
But I think he's going to slide too. I'm with you, Keegan. I don't care for Shedeur.
I think it's a Milroe or a dart spot there at 21.
No. I don't know, though. Who knows? Like, the Steelers don't make a ton of sense.
I don't know.
I would not take Jalen Milroe over Shedeur or Jackson Dart personally, but that's how I rank those three.
All right. Keegan, pick 22 here for the Chargers.
One Michigan man to another Michigan man, baby. Kenneth Grant.
Oh, you're going. Oh, wow. Yes.
I mean, he's a freak.
I love that.
They also just
Donovan Edwards.
Yeah, they just need some help on the interior D line. Like, it's a Harbaugh recruit. You know, if he's on the board, I feel like he's gonna run to submit that card.
You're right. That's actually. I think everyone mocks Loveland here to 22. I don't think Loveland's going to be here at 22.
I don't think so either.
Kenneth Grant, another Michigan man. That actually
he's
makes
6'4", 331 pounds. I mean, he is a freak of nature.
He's huge. That D-line they had, how are they so bad? It's just their quarterback was that bad? Because their
offense was terrible.
They're going to have like 4 guys going in like at least for 40 picks. So it's pretty wild.
Was good. Yeah, the offense was atrocious, but they got that new guy coming in, that new 5-star kid, paid like $10 million for.
You get to draft for the Packers. That's fun, Aidan. Who they taking here at 23?
How funny is it that we got wide receiver as a need still for the Green Bay Packers? Even though they have 5 wide receiver ones, we're still looking for a 6th one. But I don't think they're doing that. We know the Packers don't do that. They will not draft a wide receiver in the first round, which I think leads us to 2 different ways here. It says edge, but I actually think like we go interior here with Nolan or Hairston, corner out of Kentucky with Jair Alexander no longer there. I think Nolan probably makes a bit more sense. This guy that's like much higher, like pretty much like consensus on big boards. So I'm gonna go with Nolan. I think that fills a need for them in the interior. But look out for them. There's just no way they go wide receiver. I'm pretty certain of that. But corner makes a ton of sense there. They definitely need help at corner too.
It's so funny because the Packers' whole ethos is we just take receivers in the 2nd or 3rd round, but that's how they end up with their receiver room that has no true star. You know, they just have all these role players, right, that are good, but they can't necessarily feature somebody. So I'm very interested, and what's so funny is this draft doesn't necessarily have that guy maybe you'd feature. I think Ibuka is slept on as someone who could do that here. Out of the slot, but you also have Jaden Reed, and
he would be the best wide receiver day one if they took Egbuka.
I agree.
Like, no doubt in my mind.
I also wouldn't sleep on Egbuka here at pick 22 to the Chargers. They desperately need a wide receiver, but I think they could take Kenneth Grant and then a wide receiver in round 2. Like a Jalen Knoll could be there next time they're picking, right? So like this wide receiver class is good. It's not elite, and it's relatively flat. So you could try and take somebody in the 2nd round that you think could be as good as Egbuka, but also doubling up and maybe a premier position. So those 2 picks make sense. But those teams desperately need a wide receiver. And there's going to be a run on wide receiver here pretty soon, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This team needs a running back.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
I don't like Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones. Nah, but now that I think about it,
I know.
jeez.
I didn't think they would go this high, but I do think it's possible.
Nah, they shouldn't do it.
Your fantasy
Me, I
brain
think,
just broke
like-
into the NFL mock draft
I
brain
know.
there.
I know.
Intrusive thoughts.
I
I
know.
think I think he's at the top of the board. I think he's at the top.
You think
of
it's
the board.
Malachi Starks? You think they need a safety?
Yeah, I think Starks
Harrison
being
Smith
here.
is about to retire.
Yeah,
It's good value too. The kid from Boston College, I'm not even gonna try and pronounce his last name. He's kind of a pick for Monty Ossafor, their GM. They could use a tackle too as well. So Josh Simmons could be in play. I'll take Malachi Starks. He is the best safety in the draft. I know there's a lot of buzz about the dude from A&M. No, from South Carolina. It's just a freak athlete who had just an absurd combine. He had the best RAS
Safety
ever.
or
Yeah, the safety out of South Carolina. His name is what's his name? I'm gonna butcher it. Nick Amanawari.
Oh
Nick
yeah,
Amanawari.
Yeah, there it is. I'm gonna take Malachi Starks. He's the best player available. He'll probably be able to play really well in Brian Flores' defense. It's kind of a boring pick, but it makes sense for them. Good value, good pick.
Yeah, I think that one makes a ton of sense there too.
Man, this is a fun pick because the Texans here are O lineman or wide receiver, like truly, and I think they probably go O line, but you could do the irresponsible thing here, Keegan.
Yeah, we're going to do the responsible thing. I think they desperately need somebody on the offensive line here. We're going to go with Josh Simmons. Had he not been injured, I think Josh Simmons would probably be going closer to like top 15 picks in the draft.
Yeah,
I think he's actually really, really good, but he's obviously got some injury history, and there's potential that he might not even be like ready early in the season as a rookie. But I feel like this late in the first round, like you're still trying to pick somebody who has like the upside case, like with your 25th pick. And I think Josh Simmons, if he plays out, is healthy, they can have a really good offensive lineman. It's the responsible thing for them to do. I was thinking, honestly, Luther Burden, just because they have, Nico Collins kind of on the outside. You hope eventually Tank Dell becomes a part of the offense again in his career, but this could be a good Luther Burden spot as well. But I think Josh Simmons is the responsible pick for the Texans for the sake of CJ Stroud.
Yeah, and they could go take a wide receiver in round 2.
There's plenty of them.
They're not, and you don't find starting tackles in the second and third round of the NFL draft. You just don't, but you find good quality receivers there. So it's a good pick. It makes sense. Rams are on the clock. Are you going to break my heart and put him on this team to replace Cooper Kupp, Aidan? Or is it my pick? No, it's your
I think
pick.
it's me, but
Yeah,
I'm
it's your
not
pick.
going wide out. This team desperately needs a corner. I don't know if you looked at their depth. Akila Witherspoon is currently slotted in to be starting for the
Rough.
Los Angeles Rams, and Darius Williams really isn't that good either. So I think it's between like Hairston or Amos. Kind of go either way here. I'm gonna go Hairston. I like him better. I know a bit more about him out of the two, but this feels like a corner pick to me. I think they get a wide receiver later, but man, they could do it. They could do it there, but I don't see it. I think there's much bigger holes, and guys just like work out in that offense. McVay's a smart guy; he gets guys open, so they'll figure it out with whatever Puka plus friends. The power of friendship this year.
Yeah, I mean, now that I look at their cornerback depth chart, it is not great. From
It's dark,
cornerbacks,
yeah.
I've heard Hairston's good, and then Siobhan Ravel from East Carolina is a sleeper. I guess that dude can play.
Yep.
Even
I've
from
seen
the
some
school.
tape.
So, I'm gonna probably do what the Ravens do every single time, which is draft an edge player. So I feel like their whole edge group just has names that are hard to pronounce. Can you guys help me out here? Donovan Ezaruku?
That?
Ezraku?
Yeah.
Ezraku?
Ezraku. That's it. From my understanding, this guy has a ton of good traits. He's a good player. It seems like he's a bit more of a project that people need to stay patient with. But I mean, he was the 2024 ACC Defensive Player of the Year. He was a consensus All-American. He had 16 and a half sacks in 2024. So he was super productive. 6'2", 247, senior, 21 years old. From what people have talked about him is he wins with one way. So he may have to develop. It may take some seasoning, but the Ravens have been good at developing these edge rushers. So I'm taking him here, 27th overall. The Ravens feels like a good pick. Seems like a pick they would make. So I feel good about it. As a Raku,
There we go.
Good call there. Keegan, 28 Lions.
I was for some reason thinking I was pick 29. I was fully ready to make the Commanders pick for him. Gosh, what on earth do the Lions need? I mean, tackle? Yeah, I mean,
I think he's going to play guard.
yeah, I've
Zabel.
definitely seen that in the mock. I mean, their tackles are honestly very, very good.
People love Zabel.
Yeah.
People love
Zabel. I think Zabel is a great pick for guard needy teams, and you know they're all about building on the trenches. I think Zabel will be a first round pick. He could go to the Manders.
Let's
gonna
give
be
him
in this
Zabel,
range,
then let's just talk about what it would look like for the Lions to take a wide receiver here. What's
It
stopping
would
them?
be so sick.
What is actually
just take
stopping
Buka.
them?
They run a
Yeah.
They don't need a wide receiver.
Yeah, they just get an ARSB clone and take Igbuka.
It would be so fun of them to take a wide receiver with Amon-Ra, Laporta, JMO, Gibbs, Montgomery.
Like the Ravens could actually take a wideout too. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, Ravens are a
taking
sneaky
wideout would be
wide
pretty
receiver
interesting.
team. There's a couple teams here that
I don't want a wide receiver there though. Like I don't want to like
yeah, I know.
they're bad for fantasy.
Yeah,
though.
bad for fantasy.
I don't want them.
We need to get the Bills a wide receiver desperately.
Well, I mean, there's
And
plenty good
that
ones on the
pick
board
30th.
that I think the Bills can
Yes.
take here.
Yes.
But curious to hear who you're taking at 29 here.
I do think more of these wideouts will be gone by now as well. I don't think Igbuka makes it past like 20.
He's gonna. I don't
I'd
know,
be
man. But
shocked
the more
if-
you think about it, these teams need linemen big time.
Yeah.
and they're just gonna take these guys
We'll
in the
see.
second round.
But it's like the flashy toy, you know, touchdowns, fantasy points. I want wide receivers. So what are we doing here? I've seen a handful of different picks here. Like the consensus kind of like positions that I see is like edge and safety, or just like DB in general. I think edge especially is pretty dark here for them. I was just looking at their depth chart too. They got Clellan Farrell, and I don't even know who Dorrance Armstrong is. But it's pretty bad. So I do think they just take the top edge rusher off the board. You could also go safety here too. I know they lost what's his name, Chin, at safety. So could you go to the edge rushers? Like Stewart makes sense here. I
Lamar's
think there's, like, one
here.
other-
Mark Stewart
You
not
got
being
Stewart.
drafted is pretty crazy.
Like I like Stewart here. I've seen some mocks with Donovan, our guy that we just saw with the crazy name that we put to Baltimore. I don't even know this other A&M edge rusher, to be honest, Scorton.
I've never
But-
heard of Scorton.
But let's do Stewart here. I think regardless, this team's gonna go edge here, unless like they get some crazy value. I guess Zabel would kind of make sense here too at guard, but take Stewart for me.
All right.
Do it. Which one are you going with?
So this is crazy because this team desperately does not need a receiver that plays slot because everyone in their offense is a slot receiver. And everyone that's like Dalton Kincaid needs slot targets. So does Khalil Shakir. A lot of people have posited that our guy Keon Coleman's probably best in the slot potentially. I think that they desperately need a speed element, a downfield element for this offense. I really do think Matthew Golden playing flanker in this offense makes a ton of sense. And I like Emeka Egbuka better than Matthew Golden as a prospect. But I do think from a fit standpoint, Golden just pairs really well with Josh Allen and that downfield offense they're trying to run. And look, they acquired Amari Cooper, who primarily was supposed to be a downfield winner. Amari Cooper had zero juice for the Bills last year. He remains unsigned. I think Golden makes a lot of sense for what this offense is trying to do. And I think he pairs well with Keon Coleman. I think he pairs well with the slot receivers in the slot game and James Cook. So I'm going to take Matthew Golden here, pick 30 for the Buffalo Bills. What do you guys think?
I like that pick, and I think like the rationale in terms of like his profile and offense, because I also prefer Egbuka, but I don't think he makes sense like in this offense at all. Whereas Matthew Golden like fits into his more true role, given the pieces that are currently in place. So I like that there. Like they've got to get some more skill weapons in that room. Like it's just like they continue to come up short because of it. So I think that'd be a great pick. Keegan wouldn't like it, but it'd be good for fantasy.
All right, Keekster, you got the Chiefs here, pick 31. They desperately need offensive line play, but Trayvon Henderson's there. That could be fun. Nice shiny toy. There also is some interesting wide receivers still on the board. What do you think here for the Chiefs at 31?
No shiny toys for the Chiefs. We're gonna beef up the offensive line, and not because I don't want them to get shiny toys. Like I'm invested in this team from a dynasty perspective. I'd love for them to get some shiny toys, but I think Josh Connerly makes some sense here. Super athletic. He played running back in high school. I don't know how to
That's crazy.
But
That's crazy.
He played running back in high school. He's massive.
That was wild. Yeah.
He's like athletic enough to recover from mistakes. I don't know. I feel like there's not many people here that I can pick for the Chiefs that would make much more sense than going offensive tackle. I'm also just looking at like who's left on the board based on fits and just like where PFF has them ranked. I think this is a good pick for them.
I like that there.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him at like the end of here or like the start of round 2 as well. But that's a strong
Now,
pick.
who are the Eagles going to swindle everybody and grab one of the best players in the first round with the last pick of the draft?
So I think I know what our hearts want. And that's what I'll do. Like I think they take wideout. Like they should take wideout.
Wow.
But I do think Howie's just going to take another like D-line.
You think they need a wideout for their team?
I don't think they need one, but I like Jahan Dotson is your wide receiver 3. He's fine. I think putting a third wide receiver in this offense, like with the caliber that we're looking at, tight end, Sean? No,
they're going to trade.
tight end.
They're going to trade Dallas Goedert on draft night. That's like the worst kept secret in football right now.
What's his name is good.
Yeah, he's going to be a Jet.
Grant Calcaterra.
Calcaterra's good. I like Calcaterra.
They're gonna take Harold Fannin in the second round because Harold Fannin's old offensive coordinator is now the QB coach and for the Eagles. So that's my tinfoil hat time. But I don't think they take a tight end in the first round.
I think they're just gonna take another edge rusher though. Like, isn't AJ Brown only under contract for like 1 or 2 more years?
The Eagles would be the team to take Shamar Stewart, wouldn't they? If he fell to 32.
If he gets there.
And then it works.
And then
out,
it works,
like,
of
masterfully.
course. Yeah. Masterful gambit, Howie. Masterful gambit.
I'd like wide out here, and just for the sake of getting my guy in the first round, I'll go with Ibuka.
Dang.
It's
that
like,
would be
they don't need
that would be such a nice to have, not a need to have.
But they don't need anything. That's the most fucked up part. They don't need anything.
It's a little messed up, yeah, honestly.
So
yeah, the
like,
Emeka Ibuka for the Eagles. Oh man, what would we do with that
in
guy?
The slot with like Smitty and AJ, like would be fucked up.
No, it's gonna be Harold Fannin. That's what they're gonna take in the second. But
at 32, in the second.
No, not at 32 in the second round. Yeah, I mean they could take
like,
they could take Siobhan Ravel. They could go corner, or they could take like Tyler Booker, the guard from Bama, and just like
they're gonna go edge. They're gonna go edge. Watch, or like another interior D lineman, and just like. They just have so many people that can just abuse quarterbacks, and it's just not fair.
Who's gonna play? Like none of these. This whoever they take at 32 probably isn't gonna play for them next year because they're so loaded. So like,
or maybe,
they could be more of a developmental guy.
Like Buka would be in sets.
He would play, but not as much as like Ibuka.
If he's in the trenches, yeah, like trenches wouldn't play a ton in year 1 for Philly.
Like if we're playing matchmaker, like Ibuka with the Texans would be sweet. I think Ibuka with the Rams would be pretty sweet too. And I think
next to ARSB would be hilarious. It would just be the Spider-Man meme.
No, we don't need that. We don't need that. Also, a wide receiver on like Ibuka on the Chargers with Justin Herbert would be the ultimate fantasy print fest. I mean, just could you imagine the print fest?
I think Keenan's going back from everything I see, and they're just waiting until after the draft. I think they're just trying to hoe the Bears. Like, they're just trying to hoe me. I want a comp pick, and they're just waiting. Like, it sounds like it's a done deal.
Okay, well, that would make sense. Then, like, the Golden and Lad are a little redundant. I think I actually really like Golden on the Bills. I don't think he'll be there. People are projecting Golden all the way up to 12 for the Cowboys. And I think, by the way, if Tet doesn't get taken here at 6, I don't think Tet gets past the Cowboys at 12. So,
no.
But man, this was a fun draft. I think it wasn't super chalk.
No, we had some fun picks.
Yeah, I think we had some fun picks here. Keegan, what do you think? What was the most surprising pick for you of the draft?
I don't know why, but I think if Shedeur is not a Saint at 9, like I don't think he's a pick in the first round. I know it sounds crazy, but like I think Shadeur's shot at going in the first that's like the biggest thing I noticed. I think he goes at 9, where we took Colston, Loveland, and then if he doesn't, and the Steelers go to 21, I think it's a Milroe or a Dart pick, and then Shadeur's like one of the first picks of the second round to the Giants, or even the Browns. I think the Browns and the Giants double tap the leftover QBs. Their picks like 33 and 34. And then the other thing I love about this draft is the Colston Loveland first tight end off the board.
I'm feeling frisky with that one for sure.
That was a good one.
So my thing with Shedeur is if there were no trades in the draft, I actually agree with you, Keegan. I think he could fall out. But like you have a team like the Falcons. The Falcons, I think, only have 6 picks. The Cardinals only have 5. The Rams only have 6. The Texans only have 6. Like you could see these teams trade out and just pick up more picks in this draft. And then the Browns come in and draft. The Saints come in and then they draft these guys. Because I actually do think more than 2 quarterbacks are going to go in the first round. I think we get 3.
More than 2. Okay.
I think we get 3 in the first round.
I like the idea of someone trading back in the late mid-20s to get like the 5th-year option on over your QB is just so important in terms of like team building. So I like either Cleveland, Saints, Giants, Steelers, someone to move back in at the end of the round if he slides that far.
I actually do think that I do think the Browns are going to draft Shedeur. That's my take. I think they're going to draft Travis Hunter and Shedeur and have them on the same squad.
That'd be funny.
And I think they trade up into like this range, maybe 15, 16, this pick range, because both the Falcons and the Cardinals are pretty low on draft picks. And I actually think Jalen Milroe probably goes to the Steelers. I think that's just a slam dunk. And I think the Steelers are going to take a quarterback in the first round because they don't have their second round pick this year.
What's the Steelers' plan at quarterback if Rodgers doesn't go there?
Exactly. It's Mason Rudolph. I think they have to take a quarterback.
That's where I'm on this like Dart thought process because like Milroe can't start year 1 or we'll have an Anthony Richardson situation, I think. Like I'm not a hater on Milroe. I actually like Milroe, but he's of the quarterbacks needs to sit for a year.
I think he's ass.
I don't think he's bad. I think his 2024 was a lot worse than his 2023. Like the 2023 Jalen Milroe tape is some pretty good stuff. But like Dart
is just very inaccurate. He's so inaccurate.
Well, he completed 63% of his passes. He just actually was really bad.
Anthony Richardson is horrible, and he was like the 4th pick.
No, I know. I know we know that. It's like I learned my lesson with the inaccurate college QB.
I was texting Shaun about
it.
Way
more accurate. Though.
Shaun was like, Anthony Richardson is the reason that Jalen Milroe might not go in the first round.
I honestly think it's a course correction because Milroe's traits are phenomenal. He's just smaller. He's just.
I agree.
If you watch Milroe as a runner, he's probably the second best running back. I don't want to like. He's
ran
not
a
a running back. He plays quarterback.
He's smooth as hell. He's smooth as hell running.
He's smooth. He has incredible vision too. So like, Milroe.
But I need you to spin that rock, bro. I need you to spin that rock.
He completed like 63% of his passes, which was a big jump, and he improved. He was an academic Heisman. Like, there's a lot to like about Jalen Milroe, but again, I cannot stress this enough. The man fumbled like 40 times in 2 years. Like, it is absurd how many fumbles he had because he has these baby hands, and I do think that's a problem. And
that'd be nice if they went from Pickett baby hands to Milroe baby hands, and it's just like passing of the torch.
Yeah, but they have to pass it with both hands.
Dart could work there, but
the other interesting thing about this draft too is like we've got 2 quarterbacks, we only have 2 running backs, and we have 3 wide receivers mocked in the first round. Or no, we didn't even get Ibuka in the first round here.
No, I put him at 32.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm looking at 31. You're right. Put him at 32. So we're looking at like only 2 to 3 wide receivers in the first round, 2 running backs.
It'll be more than that.
And like 2 quarterbacks. I think it's like a bit of a course correction from previous years. That's just like speaks to the talent in the draft. But a lot of trench players here. A lot of beefy boys.
A lot of beef. Where's the beef?
Where's the beef?
All right, before we go, Aidan, final thought. What you need? You get a draft take off your chest. What does it need to be?
What's my take?
Yeah, well, do you have anything that you want to get off your chest that you just burn inside of you that you just need to get out there in the ether?
I think she do her slides. I've been saying that for a while. It's those are empty calorie numbers at Colorado, man.
A lot of screens.
Those were empty.
A lot
Of screens. I'm like, oh, he's 70%. I'm like, did we watch the same tape? I'm like, of course he did, bro.
A lot of screens.
But no, I don't know. This is a funky draft. As a Bears fan, I'm really excited for day 2. We've got like I think 3 or 4 picks on day 2, so I think obviously I'm excited for 10, but I'm really excited for that second day. It's flat, like you said. Like a lot of these guys that are like graded first round talent, like they're all like it's so flat from like 10 to 50. It's like a lot of these guys are so similar. So like you're gonna end up getting really good players in the 30s, 40s, even 50s this year.
Egan, what's your take? You got to get off your chest. You got anything burning?
Just remember, like, if you're a draft watcher of your team or you just like the NFL draft, you see some shocking things, like not all first round grades are created equal in the NFL draft. Like, that's my take. Every team has different first round grades.
My take is if the 49ers take Kelvin Banks Jr., I'm going to be really sad. So just please be a defensive lineman. Just please. I'm begging you, Kyle and John. I'm okay with Jahdae Barron. He seems like a sick player. But please don't take the tackle that no one really is that excited about outside of the fact that, well, he played 60 games. So please, not that guy. I'd appreciate it. But guys, this was fun. This was fun. We got through it. And I think we got through it. I'd say the last 10 picks were a little tough, but we got through it. We there was some confidence there. Egbuka with the Eagles would break my brain, but we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hopefully your team has a great NFL draft. Hopefully all of our fantasy dreams are made over the weekend. But thank you guys for rocking with us. Keegan, it was great to have you back in the fold today, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Until next time.